We're at the end of the journey now. Thanks for your participation. I hope you found it useful and interesting. I hope you've learned something. Here's really what I hope you've learned. One of the things I hope you've learned is that we're going into an uncertain future, all of us together. The models that we've traditionally relied on are unreliable. They're not bad, they're not wrong. You just can't depend on them in the way that you have in the past. Part of the reason you can't depend on them is implicit in their construction was the idea that surprise was episodic, that surprise was a surprise. What I hope you're seeing now is that surprise is the new normal. Surprise is ubiquitous. It's everywhere. So we need models to think about surprise as an integral part of our experience. One of the ways to do that is to rely on S-curves, but only if you have a y-axis that thinks about customer dreams rather than the attributes of your contemporary offerings. Another thing I hope you think about is that not only is change ubiquitous, but opportunity is ubiquitous as well. If you look at the business model canvas, the possibility of making an innovation is open to anybody, anywhere. Doesn't matter what function you're in, doesn't matter what you do. So take advantage of that. Think about what you can do to introduce change into your organization before somebody else does it for you. I'd like you to think about the idea that you don't have to personally be responsible for innovation on your own, that there are other people living in the future already. The future's already here. It's just not very evenly distributed. Go out and find those people, the lead users, people living in the future. See what they're doing. See the problems they're coping with. Learn from them. Bring them into your organization if you can, and make use of their insights because, in fact, they're living where we're going to be in the future. Make sure that you look at your value chain and identify any of your value chain partners that are living in the past. That is almost inevitably a signal for future distress, and you need to remedy that beforehand. I want you to think about how much talent you're getting out of the individuals who you employ, and what could you do to get more talent in? I mean, talent is probably our most precious human resource, and all too often we waste it, not deliberately, but unconsciously. So what can you do as an innovative leader to get more out of talent rather than less? I'd like you to think about conversations. Conversations are the basic building block of innovation. How can you re-engineer your conversations? Timing, space, inviting, agenda. You can do a lot to change the nature of your conversations, but only if you're conscious about what's happening. Remember, an idea at rest adds no value. Only an idea in motion adds value. I'd also like you to think about what you can do to give a good idea a head start. That means benefit cost, simplicity, compatibility, trialability, observability. Keep these 5 factors in mind. When you hear a good idea, run through that list and see if you're violating any of those rules. And once you do that, dream big. Think about, can I take this idea and really make it into an epidemic, spread it everywhere? What does it take to do that? Jumping S-curves requires different teams than managing the life cycle of any particular generation of offering. So you need to be thinking about, how do I move not only from S-curve to S-curve, but from team to team? Do you have the right teams to make that jump? Those teams are going to be built around skills, not attitudes. And do you have the right leaders to take advantage of those attitudes? Innovative teams require innovative leaders. They deserve innovative leaders. And one of the things you need to think about is how well you and your colleagues fit that role. Are you hunting for ideas? Are you stretching your team? Are you, in fact, an impresario in building the future? I'd also like you to think about 7 rules for maintaining momentum in an uncertain world. I mean, first is recognize that the cadence of change, surprise, is inevitable. You should never be surprised by surprise. It's the new normal. Second, one of the ways to navigate surprise is to deal with people who are living in that surprise, people living in the future. So where can I find them? How can I engage them? The third one is look elsewhere for breakthrough ideas. In most industries, everybody in the industry is thinking the same thing at the same time about the same customers. Think differently. That's a way to get an edge, maybe the only way to get an edge. I'd like you to think about what you're doing through the eyes of the customer, not through the eyes of your organization or through your colleagues, but through the eyes of the customer. What are their dreams? Not what are the attributes you're offering them or what are the benefits you claim, but what are the customer's dreams, and are you in fact stretching them in any way? Obviously, I think moving early rather than late makes sense. I mean, I think the future belongs to those who seize it rather than those who hesitate and get hit by surprise. Never jump into the unknown, however. Probe, experiment, try. Don't explore, don't discover. Test hypotheses, see what works. Pull out if it doesn't work quickly, but try to test the future rather than going in with a dogmatic, here's the truth approach. And finally, go all the way. Be coherent. Make sure that when you make one change in your organizational culture, you make lots of changes so that they all support a visionary goal and they all come together in a self-reinforcing way. If you do all these things, you'll raise the probability of being able to successfully navigate a sustainable future for your organization in the face of great uncertainty. I hope you keep tweeting. Tweeting is a way to bring in a larger population into your conversations. We'll continue using the hashtags. This is a conversation that will never end. The dynamics are eternal, but the illustrations are new, and we'll be bringing new illustrations on over and over again. Good luck on this. The future can be intimidating, but you should never be surprised by surprise. Take to heart the lessons we've talked about. You've tried them. You've worked with the templates. Now bring it into your daily life. Make innovation habitual, and you'll raise the probability of a successful future, not only for your organization and not only for your team, but for yourself as well. Good luck. Buon viaggio. I wish you all the best as you go into an uncertain future. Incidentally, we're all going into that same uncertain future at the same time.